You're plugged into Schaumburg Speaks, a podcast highlighting and celebrating local businesses and community in the Schaumburg area.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Schaumburg Speaks, the podcast where we highlight the incredible businesses, leaders, and innovators who make our community thrive. Brought to you by our partners at Ian Ryan Interactive. I'm Andrea Biwer, the president of the Schaumburg Business Association, and today we're talking about something that every great event needs. They need energy, creativity, and an unforgettable entertainment. And speaking of unforgettable entertainment and friends, joining me today is Jeff Bizar, founder of Bizar Entertainment, a company that has been helping create memorable events across Chicagoland for decades, from school celebrations and bar mitzvahs to corporate events and fundraisers. Bizar Entertainment has built a reputation for bringing together top-notch talent, exceptional customer service, and innovative production services to elevate every event. Also, we have Wes, and he is a partner, EMC, DJ, dancer, choreographer. There is nothing that man can't do. So welcome, my friends, to Schaumburg Speaks. How are you?
Hi, Andrea. We're great.
Great.
I have to say, you guys both look very dapper. I love the red entertaining tie and the fur jacket. And Jeff, you always look so handsome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. We're so excited to be here.
So I've had the opportunity of working with both of you since I've been at SBA for the last year on our Toast to Schaumburg, as well as Savor, a couple of our signature events. But prior to that, at where I was before, I worked with you for, I think, 8 years. And they just do an amazing job. Jeff, every successful company has a story. So why don't you, and I know you have many, but why don't you tell us first how you got started in the Bizar Entertainment world?
Sure. So I want to give my mom a little credit. She gave me a newspaper clipping when I was 16 years old. And, you know, we always had to work in our family. My parents were both teachers. And I'll never forget, we went to this studio in Skokie, and I started working for this DJ company. I loved it. I did it in high school. And then when I went to college, I still had to work and, help pay for food and pizza and everything in college. So I DJ'd in college, was planning on going to law school. I wound up taking my LSAT, and I also booked this gigantic party. And if you know my story, I wound up taking my LSAT, never getting my score. I actually walked out of the test and called home and said, basically, I'm starting Bizar. Can I start it out of your basement? And my parents said, of course. And that's kind of like how it got started.
So cool.
Throughout the years, we've had many tipping points, things that just helped us grow rapidly. One of them was doing a showcase early on where we booked, I think, almost 70 parties. Just because no one knew of us. So being in front of all these people, they were just like, what is this? And so that was one of them. And then another one was bringing on the first interactive entertainer who not only, because think about it, back in the day, DJs and MCs and the dancers, we were all the same person.
Yeah, you had a record and you just spinned and
correct, with a wired microphone and and all of a sudden this guy.
You are old, Jeff.
I know. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. So long story short, that guy got out there and interacted with the crowd. He was the first one to do it, and that just helped us blow up. And, long story short, been in business 34 years. And
you were 35, so you got into
started
business
when
you were
one.
one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. That's great.
So we've done 15,000 events is the bottom line. All different types, quinceañeras, weddings, tons of corporate events, bar and bat mitzvahs, sweet 16s, anything you could think of.
Okay, before I get into the question of how your company became a mega company, obviously you've brought on partners, and Wes was one of them. Why don't you tell us your story, how you got to where you are today?
Well, actually, I'm originally from Indiana. So
okay, I'm sorry. And then the Bears are not going there. They're staying here, hopefully.
I'm totally okay with that.
I love
I'm okay with that.
I'm teasing.
So originally from Indiana, I went to Indiana University, and the little bit longer version is I accidentally auditioned for a dance team. I thought that it was just a dance class. And when I went there, it was an audition, and one of the girls that was there worked for an entertainment company that would be a competitor to your company at that time. And she asked me one weekend, they lost a dancer. They had someone back out, and she said, "Would you like to work a bar mitzvah?" And I was like, "What's a bar mitzvah?"
I was going to say, you didn't know what that was.
No idea.
Yeah.
So short version, I said yes. It was in Kentucky, and I was at IU. So we drove down during the day, worked the party at night, and then drove right back. And I was just like, I got really good feedback. I was a dancer, interactive with the kids, and it just,
fun.
Yeah, the company was like, if you come up here and you train over the summer, we'll make it so that anything that's out of town, we'll fly you to, because a flight is a flight. So I did, and just kind of built my way up through that. Started coming to Chicago every summer, and then meeting people in the industry. And I started as a dancer, then I became an MC, then I became a DJ, and then we partnered 4 years ago?
During COVID.
Yeah, like right as COVID was ending. That's when we met. But it's this whole serendipitous meetings and just right timing, like an accidental audition led to meeting the right person, led to I worked for the Chicago Bulls, and that was it was something where I was just right place, right time. And the director.
Hence your colors.
I love.
Yeah.
The Bulls are like my favorite colors, red and black. So.
And what did you do? Were you dancing? Did you do some of the?
Yeah, it was actually
courtside stuff.
Yeah. So originally, it was a Lovables reveal party. So actually, when they had set the team, they had like a reveal, and I went out and I danced on the dance floor just for fun because I love to dance, and. The lady that ran the entire Bulls Entertainment network was like, "You have to be a part of this." That's cool. So I was. They call them the Incredibles, which is like the fan interaction and hype squad. So I shot T-shirts. I worked the signs in the beginning. I helped Benny the Bull with stuff. Like I did some halftime performances. I choreographed some stuff for him. So
and here you are.
Yeah,
that's great, and you're amazing.
Wild ride.
So now your company, I feel like Bizar Entertainment, everything that you guys are doing, you're merged together is like a super company. Before we talk more, why don't you tell us about the services that Bizar Entertainment provides and what makes you a super company?
Sure. So I'll start by saying that, after when COVID hit, I had been in business 29 years and going on 30 years. And when I always humble, grateful, thankful about the past because it was wonderful, but also a time to like reflect, think, reassess. I kind of looked at it as a time to step kind of more behind the scenes.
Yeah, because you couldn't do events during COVID, and that's what your livelihood was.
Correct. And what Wes didn't tell you is we had met actually about 10 years prior because one of my favorite all-time Hall of Fame dancers, a girl named Danielle Gerby, was with him at Indiana. And every time she'd come home, she'd be raving about, "You got to meet this guy, Wes. You got to meet this guy, Wes." So about once a year, for a decade, Wes and I would actually meet.
He courted me for a long time.
Aww,
yeah, that girl was on the dance team that I accidentally auditioned for. So by the time she came in, I was a director, and so that's how I had met her. And then she kind of introduced us. But I was in a transition time because I was starting a new company from the ground up with a couple of other friends. And so right when he had asked me, I'd already decided that that's what I was going to do because I wanted to try it. And that was the first time that he was like, "Hey, would you be interested in like coming over?" And at the time I was like, I've already committed to this thing. So it's been a long time coming, but it's been this really enjoyable. Like once a year we'd go out to eat. He'd ask me how things were and he'd give me another pitch.
When you come to work? Yeah. When you guys going to work together? And here you are.
So COVID was, So COVID was, I'm going to use the word tipping point words, because our other partner, Nook, and him and I got together, and it was the serendipitous timing.
Could I just ask a quick question? So I'm thinking of all of you coming together. So you were the Bizar Entertainment side of it, and then we've got Wes was more the dance. Explain to me how the three of you came together, like what strengths all three, because you guys all have similar ones, but obviously.
Yeah, so from my side, Nook is a big brother to me. And so when we did the other company, he had kind of the same pitch. He said, there's something I want to do, but I only want to do it if you're on board. And I said, okay. And then this was kind of the same thing. He was like, Jeff wants to sit down and have a conversation, but I want you to come along. So Nook and I are both MCs, DJs, and dancers, and are pretty well known throughout the industry. Both of us have done numerous events. We've done, like, I worked for the Bulls. We've opened shows for different artists. I'm not going to name drop all the artists right now, but both dance-wise and MCing. And so we've done a lot of events. And so we were known, and it just became this thing where he was like, I want the best talent that's out there. So being a leader in our own community where we were and with our own business, it was just this thing of like, I want to do something. That's one of the pillars of our business model is extraordinary talent. So instead of just picking up a bunch of random people or, there are great dancers out there. There are great MCs out there, but to find like the best of the best, you kind of got to do the extra legwork. And so at that point in time, the business had slowed down a lot. I know we were, like, I was still teaching dance through Zoom. So that was kind of like keeping me afloat, but there was just nothing happening on the
Jeff, from your end of it, obviously all the bookings that you had.
Yep. So to tag on to what he was saying, if you know the industry, typically there's one owner who their goal is to book themselves first, because when they get booked, they make the most money. Right? If they have to pay someone else to MC, especially a good MC, they have to pay out thousands of dollars, right? So there's always been this, I'm going to call it a competing interest between the owner of the company and the talent in the company. So what we decided was, let's just get rid of that. So I don't compete with them. I've gone 99% backline, right? I'm never trying to sell myself. I'm not on my website. I'm not trying to sell. If someone tries to book me, I'm like, you don't want me. Let me explain who you do want.
And you do that.
Yes.
You've done that with us.
So it'd be like, I'm coming behind the scenes. I'm going to run the customer service part of it. We're all involved with everything. But I'm just going to run that part. You guys run the talent part. Right. And then we wound up buying this company in 2022 called Boom. And that's where we really took on a lot of our gaming, draping, staging, all this extra stuff, furniture, right? Production. So like we have an event tomorrow for a company where we're providing no talent, only production, meaning only gear. 70 feet of black and gold draping. It's for like the Academy Awards for a realty company. So, pre-COVID, we never would have done that event. Right? It was all talent-based. So yes, most of our parties are still talent-based, but now we just have so much more production elements available.
Jeff is the glue. Without him, we wouldn't be where we were at. Actually, Nook and I did get offered another company in the interim, and I was like, I love Nook. Nook loves me, but we're so busy in what we do that it's just not conducive for us to run every single facet of the business. Like if we're just the talent, we can focus on being the talent and the other stuff that we do, then we all get to excel. And
that's why I could tell you right now, when you do play on your strengths and you work on your strengths, that's how you make money and be successful. So it's a perfect.
He's a dot your I's, cross your T's kind of guy.
No, but this is like a perfect recipe for success. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of other things that people listening could take away on how to be successful. So now that you guys have this perfect blend, perfect mix, before we get into some tips and tricks for people booking parties and things like that, what direction do you see you all moving forward in now that, and you're already moving forward, but what's the short-term direction that you see in the next year or so?
So I think one of the things that we're really excited about, and of course, we're always focused on just getting better, right? Even though we think we're the best at what we do, we always, every Monday, we talk about, the wins we had, but then also what can we do to be better? But with that said, the newest concept that we are working on is kind of this mixture of music bingo, karaoke, game show, and trivia.
That's big right now.
All in one night.
A lot of places are opening up like that.
Right. So, imagine the MC like a Wes, the DJ like a Nook, throw in 25 amazing prizes and being able to offer that to a company
Yeah.
Right.
Now, do you guys provide the pricing? Like, are you working with the prizes, or the company does that?
Typically the company does
Okay.
that, but we can source it.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Right.
So you've worked with, both of you, and you for sure, like from the beginning, have worked with thousands of events. You've DJ'd, MC, danced at thousands of events.
Yeah.
For someone planning one today, whether it's corporate or a fundraiser or a bar mitzvah or a wedding, what are 3 things a planner should look for when hiring a company? Like, is there, when hiring you all, to make their event the best?
So I'm just gonna approach it from the side of like what we decided.
Yeah.
And that's the 3 pillars of our company: extraordinary talent, because we want to be able to provide the best end user experience. So like a DJ that can scratch and juggle and beat mix and all that stuff is wonderful, but the client may only need something specific, like play these 3 songs. Play these songs at this time.
That's
and
what they want. Even
doesn't
though
matter
you may
how
think it's different.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how great you are, because if you don't hit those things, then that's what the client cares about. Then it's a fail in our book. So it's having that extraordinary talent, and at the same time, exceptional customer service. Mm-hmm. So that's the second pillar, and those 2 things work hand in hand, because we want to be able to, like, our DJs, our MCs, our dancers, like, they know this is what the client expects. This is how you work with a photographer. Photographer wants these shots during the show, and you as a dancer need to know how to connect with that photographer and say, I'm gonna help you get that shot. That's part of the customer service aspect of what we do. And then the third pillar is we have state-of-the-art production, and it's not necessarily meaning we have the most amazing, most expensive, like you need to spend $100,000 on production. It's understanding how production works for what you want. If you have an event for 100 people in a smaller space, overloading them with speakers and lights and all that stuff is just overwhelming. Yeah. So it's understanding how to utilize that production and how those things work hand in hand. And ultimately, we walk away with clients that, and Jeff will tell you, we try and be available as often as possible. I mean, barring you calling us at like 2:00 in the morning, we've had clients call us hundreds of times before their event. Like, we're 10 months out, and then literally hundreds of times. I'm not going to mention any names.
I only did that a week before. Week before our event.
But
what about day of?
Right. So what we try and do in that situation is not make you feel bad about it, not make you feel like you're a bother, but to answer the phone every single time. We're like, what do you need? How can we take care of you? How can we help you? And that's part of that exceptional customer service. Yeah, because we really want people to walk away feeling like they took care of me.
Yeah.
I'll just add a funny little short story to that. So it's the Super Bowl, and I get a phone call, and I answer, and it's a client. And, she probably called me 100 times. And again, we don't care. It is what it is. And she starts talking. I'm like, you do know the Super Bowl's on right now, right? And she goes, I know.
Super Bowl, was it this year? Because it was so bad.
Yeah.
So
she goes, but my husband won't talk to me right now. And I had to be like, well, I'm at a Super Bowl party. Can we talk tomorrow? Like, she's like, yeah, I just thought I would try. I'm like, okay, cool. We'll talk tomorrow. So, friend, like he said, I didn't make her feel bad. I was just like, kind of making light of it.
Answered.
I did still answer the phone. And, it's interesting, like I'm at a very interesting stage where, having raised 3 kids, my kids are all grown. So I just have more time now than I ever have had to dedicate to our clients, right?
Jeff is the glue.
Yeah. So in other words, Wes, it's a little different stage. But no, but that's so, as a client and as a client of yours, that's important, because when you're planning an event and it's, whether it's for family or whether it's to raise thousands of dollars for your business, both are equally as important. And the fact that you always make us feel important, whether it's on Super Bowl or 5 minutes before the event starts and you're getting calls, I mean, that's good.
It's a constant, because it's like we do like a song request list, but it's like if you come up to us during, we don't go, you didn't put that on the list, we're not playing that. It's like, no, come and talk to us. If you come up during your event and you say, hey, the music's a little bit too loud, can you turn it down? We don't go, no, this is the volume we like it at. We're like, yeah, of course, because it's your experience. So we want to make sure your experience is what you want it to be. So we've done our best to take the ego out of the production.
And that's important.
Yeah, and that way we can have these open conversations with people where it's not about how great I am as an MC or as a DJ or as a dancer. It's about, because I can go out there, I can do windmills, I can flip, I can do all this stuff, but is that going to engage grandma, right?
Right.
Or is it better if I go over to her and I do a little something that she can follow along with? And so it's not always about presenting yourself as like, I'm the best there's ever been. It's connecting with people.
With the audience.
Yeah.
So what advice can both of you give to somebody, let's say they're planning their first event? Because majority of people planning events are not like myself or not like you all. They don't know what to ask. Is there certain things that they could do when hiring a company like yourself that can make it more easier?
So I think he mentioned those 3 pillars that, again, when we put the quote unquote super company together, it was very important to us. How do we differentiate ourselves from everybody else? Because the truth is, we have friends in other companies that are good DJs, right? We know other companies that have really good production, right? Really good gear. What we don't know is any other company that has all 3 of those things, right? So if I was giving advice to people that was planning their first party, I would say make sure you hire a company where you can actually evaluate their talent. So for example, on our website, we have a little 2-minute video where people can kind of it's almost like a movie preview. And I'm shocked that I don't think any other competitor of ours actually puts videos up of their staff, right? So it's not a put down. I'm just saying if I was guiding someone, you want to know what the talent you're going to get is, right? You want to know what is their customer service like. So what are their hours? Do they answer the phone, right? Do they return emails?
Do they have an office that you can come to?
Well, and one thing that advice maybe that I could give, not through you all, but it was through another company. We hired a company that we were looking for talent. And what we saw in the video was different than what we got.
Did they tell you ahead of time?
No.
Okay. Because sometimes things happen.
Yeah,
and in that one shot of 7 years, an
person,
MC is in the hospital.
No, this was all 3. It wasn't as good.
And sometimes nowadays social media is so like, it's so instant, and a lot of the videos are meant to get your attention. And so what you're seeing segments. You're seeing like 2-second segments, and it's like kids dancing, someone on the stage with a microphone, someone else out in the crowd, and you can't really look at that and understand. Like, what does this person sound like? How do they control a crowd? How do they interact with people? Like, a party and those quick cuts really just makes it look fun, but it doesn't really give you an answer. And so I'll add on to what he's saying, and I'll just say ask questions. I'm a big question person, so ask questions and get the answers that you need, and be as specific as you can for what you want. Because we're going to ask questions. We're going to ask you questions like, what's your venue? How many people do you have coming? Do you want sound? Do you want lighting? We're going to ask you questions to help orchestrate the event, and we expect you to ask questions of us so that we understand each other. So if you're like Jeff said, we do quinceañeras. We have MCs that speak Spanish. So if you're having a quinceañera, in my opinion, it's important that they can at least speak some Spanish, 100%. Right? And so if you're not coming in and asking that question, like, do any of your MCs speak Spanish? You may end up with an MC that has really no connection to your audience, versus like, in English, we might say stuff like, let's go, or 1, 2, 3, or everybody put your hands up. So to have a MC that speaks Spanish.
I mean, right.
You're hired.
Right. Oh, see, they already said that before we started. So what trends are you seeing in party planning, and what's some cool things that if I'm planning that's going to set my party apart, or my quinceañera, or my bar mitzvah, or my fundraising event? What's the trends? So
I'll say one of the trends is the importance of swag at a party, right? So there's always been swag, but I'd say swag has become even a bigger deal now.
The kids call it merch.
Merch.
Yeah.
Like what kind of merch?
So
there's lots of swag.
So we just produced a corporate event for an organization called the IDSA, and it's the Illinois Directors Student Activities Association. So 300 of them from all over the state come.
It's a good event to do.
Yeah. And we throw this huge party for them, right? So, and they're big time into the swag. So one of the things that we did that was brand new was a hat bar, right? So you could literally, I could tell them 8 different hats to have ready. And then when people come up, like one of them, I think, said everyday hero.
Okay.
Right? Teachers convention, right? So we came up with these sayings for the teachers.
And did you give them away so everybody, or was it for a picture thing?
Yeah, so you're coming up, you're picking out the hat you want, but then of course you can bedazzle the hat, right? So that's kind of one of the cool, trendy. In fact, we met with another celebrity stylist yesterday who was just at an event, and she was hired to bedazzle like cameras and
sunglasses.
We have a couple members that do that are in Woodfield Mall that actually do that kind of thing. So so the bedazzles, or at the parties, are people doing their own bedazzle? Or
you can.
You can. You definitely can. For a lot of the events that we do, because we're entertainment, we're being hired for entertainment, but there are definitely parties where you're doing something interactive like that. And so even just that. And then there's some people that we work with where at the party during the cocktail hour, they'll do like bracelet making or airbrush tattoos,
and
airbrush
hats. And they all get to take it home or on them.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think swag is one of the hottest trends right now. And then people, it's interesting because depending on the type of party you're doing, will dictate how unique you can be. So for example, in the bar and bat mitzvah world, most people want to do the same thing that other people are doing because you're dealing with 13-year-olds, right? So 13-year-olds want what other 13-year-olds want.
You would think they would want it different, but no.
No.
Yeah.
Like I remember one time a mom, and all these moms are wonderful, right? Because they just want to throw the best parties. So one time a mom said, why don't we get like flip-flops? Because it was a June party and they were going to do some swimming at the party, right? It was part swimming, part dancing. And I remember the bat mitzvah girl was like, what? Like she couldn't wrap her head around, because no one else had done that. Yeah. Right. So we almost don't even have to ask. We almost can guess what the main giveaway or the swag is going to be. Yeah. But if it's a company, then a company might be open to do different things.
To set themselves apart over.
Correct. In fact, we just booked one where they rented out a whole facility, and we're doing a live band, we're doing a DJ, and then we're bringing in a bunch of fun gaming for them throughout like the whole space. Okay.
So gaming is definitely, as you said, the interactive gaming is a trend.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Got it. What else? Why don't you share, you all have been in the industry for such a long time. What was the most fun party or most unique party you've ever had the opportunity to work at? And of course, say Savor and say Toast to Schaumburg.
Savor.
Yeah, the best ever.
Increíble. And Taste of Schaumburg.
Okay, for sure.
Just like
they're very honest and great. But aside from that being your number one,
those are the top two.
What's your third?
Yeah, what's number 3, Wes?
I actually did. It was a bar mitzvah, and what they did for the event was all the decorations were painted, and then they were painted in blacklight ink. So halfway through the party, they turned the lights off. They turned all these black lights on. All of the entertainers, they had a whole costume room for us. And they were like, you can pick whatever you want. And so we go in the back. We all come out, and they have these, they had masks that like glow under black light. They had these wings that you put on.
I have a question. So when you turned on the black light, did no one know what it was going to say? Because it's always there.
Correct. I mean, and these statues were massive. Like one of them was like a horse, like rearing. And the black lights come on, and it's all this like tribal almost looking like neon paints. So like neon orange, neon green, neon purple. And it completely transformed the space. And that same space was being simulcasted. So this isn't as big anymore. But there's been a few parties where they're simulcasting. So they have a videographer there who's displaying the party live projected onto a wall. So while we're partying, this videographer is running around with a camera, and the whole party's being cast on this. We were in a tent.
So you're part of, if I'm understanding, you're part of the video.
Yeah. It's live.
But it's your party.
Yeah. You can watch yourself party live. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's one that's really stuck with me. Because it was just so unique. And then there was one where they literally built a New York street scene in one of the warehouses in downtown Chicago. So like when you went to go get your food, they had a restaurant. So if you wanted Chinese food, the menu was on the outside and you walk into it like a restaurant and you ordered your food like you were on a New York City street.
And not through lights, they built it. They had the painting. Okay.
Yeah, that particular one, they actually physically built structures inside of this warehouse.
It was clearly companies that have a big budget.
These were bar mitzvahs.
Oh, okay. Big budget.
Big budget bar mitzvahs.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fascinating.
So for me, it's been like it's kind of mind blowing.
From Indiana.
But yeah, such a blessing.
Yeah.
To step into these spaces. One of the within the first, I think, 5 parties I did a party at the Verizon Wireless Stadium in Houston, Texas. And I did a party in South Beach, Miami, and I've done within the first 5. Like I did that one in Kentucky, and then the next one were all these like high profile, and I didn't realize at the time how big it was. I was just like, oh, I'm showing up and I'm dancing, and with no consideration. And now that I have perspective, there's these parties that stand out. Like I'm like, wow, I've really been in these unique,
so
amazing
cool.
spaces.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So Jeff, what about you? What's your
It's tough.
favorite story besides Savor, Toe? Okay, we already number 1.
Yeah, those are number 1 and 2.
Yeah. Okay.
For number 3, I got to bring up the first one I ever did, because the first one I ever did went like 3 hours overtime.
Wow.
Yeah, because parties don't go overtime. But they had, I was in college, so they had a group of college kids. That's how I got the gig. But then they had a group of high school kids. So when all the mitzvah kids went home, the high school and college kids stayed. And the party kept going. And this is what kind of led to me going, oh, I can make money doing something I love, right? So I'd mentioned that as a first. I still remember it. I would definitely remember he brought up some travel. So I'll bring up I remember going to LA. I was working with a celebrity planner who I won't name, and flew a big crew out there, bought a new tux, on Rodeo Drive for the gig. I mean, it was so important to us, right? Every party we do, the bar is crazy high. It has to be the best party ever, right? Every party.
Every party, yeah.
So now we're in LA. It's for a famous person, and with a celebrity planner, and everything that could have gone wrong on the back end went wrong, right? And party wound up being phenomenal. I still remember the hug from the mom thanking me. And I remember leaving there going, okay, thank God we were there, because we all cared like so much about everything, where we felt like we were the only ones there who had that same care. Everyone else was so chill, so laid back.
Yeah. Where the reason why the party was a success.
Yeah. And like Wes said, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, like everything that we prepared for that they didn't facilitate, we had to come up with a solution for it, which we did, and it was great. And I would say one last thing, did a party in San Diego. So one of my favorite all times moms was a party planner for Qualcomm. So she said to me, hey, I'll see you at 9 a.m. in the room. We're going to do a run through. Now, keep in mind, I had been doing, this is probably 2019. I'd probably done this for
like, I don't need a
almost
run
a run through. What are you talking about? So the whole crew went to the pool, and I'm like, I'll see you guys in like an hour. And I show up to the ballroom, and there's about 12 people wearing headsets with microphones, and it was like a TV production. And I had never done that before, where she's like, all right, start from the beginning. And I literally, she had me go through all my normal, like the introduction, the transitions. They had brought in a celebrity to come and perform. So she wanted, how are we going to, because what she was doing is she wanted to test the sound. Right. She wanted to test the lighting cues. She wanted to test the video cues. It was more, so it was way more of a corporate production.
Get that.
But it wound up being, one of the best parties of all time.
Wow. That's awesome.
Wow. Yeah. And I have way more I could tell about, special kids out there that we've done parties for and that stand out in my mind. And we are very, I'll say this for Wes and our whole team, we are very grateful, humble, and thankful. We feel blessed that we get to do what we do. We love our clients, including you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, and I know you guys are also very socially conscious and give a lot back. Why is giving back also important to Bizar Entertainment? Because I know you do a lot of things for the community and schools and all sorts of different things. So tell me why
Well, if he doesn't mind, I'll start.
Yeah.
Because mine is relatively simple. I didn't grow up with a lot, but I remember like I went to the Boys and Girls Club when I was younger. Like there's been so many people that have helped me get to where I am today. Like I was on free lunch back in the day. Like there's so much that I always think, people are like, I'm self-made. And I'm like, actually, no one's self-made, actually, because there's such an interdependency. Yeah. Even getting water out of your sink. Like you didn't do all that and run that plumbing and figure all that, right? So we've built our lives on the backs of the people that came before us. And that's fantastic because it allows us to live the lives that we do. But for me, it's understanding that we can always be helping someone. So like when I was in college, I worked at the Boys and Girls Club. And I remember they said, there's some kids that'll come here that will only get 2 meals a day. They'll get the snack that we give them here and they'll get their school lunch. And that's all they'll eat during the day because they'll go home and they won't have food. And I just remember like we made snacks so important for these kids. So we made sure every kid, because kids would be in the gym having the time of their lives. And it's like, I'd go to kids and be like, hey, did you get snack today? And they're like, no. And I'm like, go get some snack and then come back up. So for me, it's just this thing of like really wanting to give back because you don't know what opportunity you're going to create for another kid or the way that you're going to open up their lives. I've had kids come to me years down the road. I had one kid come to me and say, you don't know this, but you saved my life. And I was like teared up, and I didn't understand it at the time, but just having these conversations, listening to people, being open, like that one-on-one connection is a big deal. So if we can take that and we can exponentially grow that into a space where we're using our talents and our tools to provide for people, to provide for communities. Yeah, all of that. And there have been people very recently who have asked us to donate our time, to donate our equipment, and it's like, absolutely. Obviously, we still have to put food on our tables, but man, there's good causes out there, and there's something about helping people in need that feeds your soul. Money doesn't feed your soul like your kind actions, like kind words, and so that to me has always been really important, is seeing the blessings of life and the blessings that God has put in my life, and then being able. One time, this guy, his car broke down, and he said he needed gas money, and I was like, I'll give you $5, and he was like, oh, that's not going to get me where I'm going. Can you give me 20? And I was like, ugh, I didn't really have it at the time. And he's like, if not, I have to stop again. I have to do this all over again. And I was like, I don't really have it like that. And he said, I'll give you my hat. This is older gentleman. And I was like, you know what? I don't want your hat. I'm going to give you this $20. And all that I ask of you is that when someone else needs help, you pay it forward. And he was like, I will do that. And that to me was like, that's how we change the world, right?
Yeah.
So
when you give, you get.
Yeah.
When you give, you get.
So that's kind of like my perspective on it.
Jeff?
Yeah, and I'll just add that, one, we all believe it's the right thing to do, first and foremost, right? One of the things we talk about with kids is we teach them to stop and think before they act. And we say when you stop, it gives you a chance to think about it, not to react to something. And we all have something inside of us that, helps us do the right thing, right? So we know the right thing is to give back and to help people. But we also know that it comes back to us. So kind of like how you mentioned, right? It does come back, we believe, not all the time. So one of the things we'll say in front of kids is like, hey, what comes around, and elementary school kids will all yell, goes around, right? Yeah. So we say not always, not always. Yeah. But what it really means is the more you help people and the more you give to people, the more you're going to get it back, right? And for me, the selfish reason, in all honesty, I had a girlfriend who passed away when I was 22. That's why I wrote these programs to start speaking at schools.
And you wrote a book, I know. Yeah.
All of it, been on TV,
Yeah.
But it also, like, in my own selfish way, it like keeps her alive. Right. And it provides some like context and meaning for what happened to her and what happened to me and, people that knew me. So, and it has come back it comes back every time we do it. We could all be complaining that we have to be up at 6 a.m. and, we're going to be at a school and we're kidding around with each other. And then as soon as the show starts,
you love it.
And then we're signing autographs and it's like, you're
getting so much back, so much more.
Yes.
So I know you've been part of the Schaumburg Business Association for a year now, a little bit over a year. How has that helped, or being not just Schaumburg Business Association, I mean, other associations, has that helped your business? Would you recommend business people doing this to help grow their small businesses?
Yeah, I think, first of all, I think it's great because I think everybody involved with the chamber is great, right? And I'm not just saying that because I'm in front of you, right? Like, I think everyone, you're obviously the rock star here, but everyone else that works here that I've met is also just so capable and so helpful and wonderful. And you guys connected us with Alicia, who's our ambassador. And, and
can I just tell you something real quick? So we've recorded a podcast with them today, in fact. And one of the organizations that they had a long conversation was Boys and Girls Club. So I'm just saying, a lot of successful businesses, I think, have something in common. And it just shows you when you're bringing the story, they had a story similar. So anyway, so you met Bear and other people. And
they're wonderful. And, her and I have met a couple of times for coffee and talked about, different business ideas. And again, more connections.
You never know what the future holds.
Right. And the whole, for us, the whole thing is kind of like being everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. So we want to be everywhere. There's some people who, take probably a little more pride in like being a little mysterious, right? You don't see them that often. They don't really do a lot of social events or networking or showcasing where we're like, let's just be everywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. And you guys are. Well, I know our listeners are chomping at the bit. Yes, you already talked about your website, how they could find you, but why don't we just do it again? How can they want to book you? They want to book Wes. They want to book Jeff and Nook. How can they find you all?
Yeah, they want to book Jeff.
Yeah, of course they want to book Jeff. I booked Jeff.
If they need an auctioneer, I could. It's one of the few things I do.
November 6th. Save the date, all of you guys. November 6th.
Yes.
I'm
right. I am available for corporate events. Mm-hmm. In fact, him and I, we enjoy doing that stuff together, the adult stuff.
Yeah.
We do. Yeah.
So they could either go to our website, which is bizaronline.com, BIZAR online.com. Again, there's a great gallery. There's a great team section. There's a great Why Bizarre section. It's great. They could call us 847-564-1269. Or they could always email our office. It's bizarteam@bizaronline.com. So BIZAR team@bizaronline.com.
Or go to schaumburgbusiness.com and you could find them there. Yes. So that's like another. You guys, thank you so much. This was so fun. Yes. I mean, again, you guys look amazing, but better yet, you guys are amazing, not only on the outside, but on the inside. And again, it's been a pleasure working with you through many, many years. And for you, the last 3-4 years, 5 years?
Like at least 5.
At least 5 years. So,
it's been great.
I'm so fortunate. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. Yeah,
you got it.
Thank you very much.